All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwaf that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Omuam back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, back to you already know the Medi warfare. All right, stay healthy and prayed up. All right, and I'm gonna play 3 videos. All right, and then I'll grab some scriptures and close out. All right, so the first video is this one.
So I don't know if y'all know this, but that COVID-19 vaccine had HIV in it. There was a study that they performed in Australia, right? When they performed the study, they was just saying, like, let's see what's in this COVID-19 vaccine. And so when they studied it, they found a fragment of HIV. So they found a fragment of HIV protein within the COVID-19 vaccine. This is why now HIV numbers are at an all-time high because 80% of the population has the COVID-19 vaccine. Y'all, this is why it is so dangerous day in today's time. It's so dangerous dealing with people because most people were not conscious enough, we're not aware, we're not spiritually in tune, had victim mentalities and felt like everything was happening to them and ran and got the jab. Whether it was fear, whether it was a victim, it was something that it might even be some NPC bot shit, some shit that's clearly you're not in tune and one with the creator because everything inside me told me don't get no vaccines. I mean, I always knew not to get vaccines. When I became grown, I opted not to get any vaccines. I also never got any of my children vaccinated. I always knew there was something wrong with vaccines since I was 9 years old. And I remember my mama got me the chickenpox shot, and I asked the doctor, I said, what's in this chickenpox shot? She said, we're giving you the virus. I said, Mom, she's actually giving me the virus. She was like, your body's going to fight it off. I woke up with chickenpox the next day and never got another vaccine since. Right? So, and the vaccines are way, way more toxic now. They actually have mRNA in it, which is a messenger. Is like basically computer technology. And that's why Bill Gates was investing into vaccines and all that, because it's all connected. They want to control you. They want to control your mind. But understand, when they created genetically modified beings, when they created artificial beings, right, they created a species that they can control. So if you got the vaccine, 9 times out of 10, you're easily to be controlled. The true ones, the real ones, the chosen ones, we are not to be controlled, right? So this is why it's imperative and it's important more now than ever to protect your womb, protect your penis, right? Because HIV is getting spread around like wildfire because all these people are jabbed up. And it was literally found, a fragment of the HIV protein was found in the COVID-19 vaccine in Australia. And Australia then quit giving out the COVID-19 vaccine. Here in America is where everybody's lost and like, they don't know what the fuck is going on. So yeah, I'm letting you know. That's why I'm telling people that the vaccine is being passed through sex. Not only through sex, but there's an HVI in the fucking COVID-19 vaccine. Right? So be aware, stay conscious, do your own research, love yourself, and quit getting jabbed up and protect yourself from jabbed up being, because 9 times out of 10 they got that HIV in them.
All right, and she was being repetitive over and over, but she was saying a lot, that we've been telling you for years, especially when that 2020 came with the pandemic. All right, we was highly encouraging people not to take that, but people didn't want to listen, man. All right, and she was right about, basically that having the messenger in it. All right, it had a lot of those yo jabba jabbas basically had, they had the bow on the go in there, the graft to the oxide, you understand? So, they also had, things that can alter basically your DNA at the end of the day. All right. And, like she said, one of the main ingredients was SARS and that HIV. All right, and right now you have on a high scale that HIV uh, levels in people. All right, and this is all from those people that ended up taking those uh yo jabba jabbas, all right? And it took years, you see, because a lot of people was taking them and boasting about it all. You know, I done took two, three, four, plus the booster, all that shit. Well, see, this is what happens years later when you don't listen. All right, these things come into effect. All right, and your body's just been alternating its DNA this whole entire time. You see, and you know very well we have to be careful who we're around, who we deal with, right? Because you know a lot of people ended up being jabbed up, man. And like she said, a lot of people are spreading that shit without them even realizing. All right, remember, you know, HIV can have symptoms that are undetectable, man. That you walking around and you thinking everything is all good and fine and dandy. All right, but here it is, you walking around with this thing, man. It's a silent killer at the end of the day. Okay, now let's grab this. This is, give me 1 second.
Hey, this another note. I'm in a hospital with like 6 other people that been here longer than me. I just got here, and everybody's saying the same thing. They had a regular cold first, and they couldn't get rid of the cough after the cold. And then when they came back to the hospital, they found out they had pneumonia. So either it's probably a new strain of COVID out there that can't get detected yet. Like y'all remember when the first COVID came around, a lot of people were sick as hell. They just ain't know what they had. I think it's the same thing because we're hearing a lot of stories of
And all it
the same
was,
thing. Like
and all it was just a regular cold, common cold. You see, and you know the government made you feel like, you know, put a lot of fear in people's hearts, you know what I'm saying, making them think that there was this new strain. All right, don't you realize every year they come out with 5 new strains a year, you know? But at the end of the day, it all goes back to being viruses, man. All right, and viruses, they just got to take their course. And you know, if you have, you know, if you rest and you take, you know, herbs and, you know, a lot of teas, man, that shit goes away by itself, you see. But a lot of people were put into panic attack because that's what this devil does, man. The greatest weapon of mass destruction he has is that he puts fear in the minds of our people, all right, in the minds of people, period. So, you know, a lot of people ran with it, all right, and thinking that, you know, oh shit, I got this, I got that. Any little cough or any little sneeze a person had, they like, oh man, I gotta go and get myself yo jab it up. You see, and this is, you know, the effects that you later get. All right, not only that, all right, it's also these things that they're putting up in the skies, man, with these chemtrails. All right, going into barium, all right, and aluminum being put into the skies with all this weather manipulation. All right, these all take, they all come together, man, to give you things like this. So you know, this is why we have to stay prayed up at the end of the day. Okay, stay prayed up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because you know we're in weird times, man. All right, we're in times where you know these devils is coming at you in different angles. All right, and medical warfare is one of them. You see,
even to pneumonia, um, the pill antibiotics not doing nothing for it. Like yo, just be careful out there, man. And like I tell y'all this because not only the people that's in this hospital admit it, there's other people that I'm talking to on the streets, and they were saying the same thing. Like, yo, I had this cough that I couldn't get rid of, and that's the same thing, man. So, it ain't nothing that you doing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? People get sick. It ain't about it's healthy people in here. That work out every day. You know what I'm saying? This ain't nothing like you wasn't taking care of yourself. It's a cold, but just be careful, man. If you got a cough that's not going away, recommend that they do a CAT scan on you or X-ray. Find out what that shit is. You feel me? It's your boy with that life.
all right, and I'll grab one more video
Hey, this.
and then grab some scriptures.
A
Okay, so there's a new variant of the COVID-19 that's going around. It's similar to a cold, but the symptoms are more severe. You have an overwhelming amount of fatigue that you just can't explain. Even if you slept for 10 hours, you still wake up completely fatigued and tired. Most people have been complaining of a sore throat, hoarse voice, an unproductive dry cough that seems to linger. They have a fever off and on, nauseated, completely no appetite, and the headaches are extreme. It almost feels like a migraine. So those are the symptoms of the new variant of COVID-19. So if you feel like you have COVID-19, please stay home, wear a mask in public, and make sure that you go see your doctor for some type of treatment and stay hydrated. It's extremely important that you stay hydrated. It's extremely important that you drink fluids. And if the doctor prescribes an antibiotic, it is extremely important that you complete the antibiotic. All right, so I will keep you updated as new information is available to me. Have a good day.
All right, and those last two videos were posted up 2 days ago. All right, and the one about the HIV was about a week ago. All right, so this is going around, man. All right, and again, we have to stay prayed up most of all. All right, because the Lord, all right, will put, scriptures say, he that sinned before his maker, all right, shall fall into the hands of a physician. All right, and that's one of the ways that the Lord gets at our people, man, to catch your attention. All right, now the elect, those that are doing the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai are getting sick. That's just another way for the Lord to grab your attention. All right. And, us being in Babylon the Great, we can get sick, just randomly. All right. Which is one of our sufferings. All right. Infirmities. All right. Which is really just demons. All right. But this is why you have to constantly stay prayed up. All right. This is Ecclesiasticus 38. And let's grab it from. Let's grab it from 9. It says, my son, in thy sickness be not negligent, but pray unto the Lord Yahweh Shai, and he will make thee whole. Leave off from sin, and order thy hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. All right. So, that's why it's very important to stay prayed up. All right. Because the Lord makes you whole again every time we stay prayed up. That's why it's good that you fast, because fasting plays a big part of your body, staying healthy. Okay. Even if, you have, some type of, cold, disease, whatever, sickness coming upon you, right? The fasting breaks that and kills that off real quick. All right. Because remember, these infirmities ain't nothing but demons, man. All right. And that's the way that you kill the flesh. This is how you kill demons off of you. All right. By praying. All right. And fasting. Okay. But again, the true healing comes from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. This is 38:2. For the Most High, Yahweh cometh for of the Most High. Yahweh cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. Okay. So again, he's the one that, really truly heals you. It ain't these medicines. All right. The Lord did create medicines, all right, out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. All right. But at the end of the day, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is what gives you the true healing. All right. Let's grab that in Psalms. This is in Shalom, Sister Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Barakatah Dunyad. All right. This is Psalms 103 and 2. Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. You see? So all healing comes from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai at the end of the day. Okay. And, a lot of these people that get sick, all right, as a matter of fact, let me go right back to that. And in Ecclesiasticus 38 and 15. He that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. All right. Which at the end of the day, the true physician is Yahweh Shai. All right. But, he that sins before his maker ends up falling into the hands of physicians, man. You see, you'll end up in the doctor's office. You know, you end up in the hospitals, all right, with all types of diseases because these are curses that are upon our people. All right, this is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, all right, and 15, and it says, "But it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." You see? So when you don't turn to the Lord, man, the Lord brings certain curses upon you. He brings certain things. Okay. Let's grab this one. 21. It says, "The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave onto thee." This is one of the curses. "Until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it." All right. Pestilence goes into these different types of diseases. All right. It says, "The Lord Yahweh shall smite thee with a consumption and with a fever and with an inflammation and with an extreme burning and with the sword and with blasting and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish." All right. So a lot of us, you know, end up with these different types of diseases in the hospitals, and a lot of us will pass away in these hospitals, man. All right. Because you didn't know who to turn to because you were being wicked as hell. All right. Let's grab 27. All right. Uh, it says, "The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt and with the emerods and with the scab and with the itch whereof thou cannot be healed." All right. And when you go into that, let me grab that real quick in Deuteronomy, I mean, in the linear. All right. Give me 1 second when you get there. Deuteronomy 28. And what was that? When you go into that word, the botch, right, goes into boils. All right. It says, and with emerods, all right, it says that means tumors. Okay. When you go into emerods, that means tumors. Okay. And these things cannot be cured. So you end up with cancers, you see, you know, the itch, you know, it could be some, you know, going into, what do you call it, sexual transmitted diseases. Okay. These are things that the Lord put upon our peoples, man. All right. And in a way that could go into, you know, basically what that girl was saying. You know, a lot of people running around with HIV now, you see, because they trusted in Egypt and not in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So that led you to your confusion. You know, now you walk around with HIV wondering why, you know, because you done took, you know, the jab 3-4 times. All right. On top of that, a whole booster, and you thought you was going to be good because you were walking around, you know, 20 days later. All right. But here it is, you know, 2-3 years down the line now. All right. You see that it was basically something that you shouldn't have taken. All right. You should have listened to the prophets when they told you, man. All right. This is let me grab a couple more. Give me 1 second. I know there's another one. Yeah, this is 59. It says, I'll take it from 58. It says, "If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord Yahweh thy power, then the Lord Yahweh will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues of long continuance and sore sicknesses." You see? And of long continuous. All right. So you're going to be, you know, sick unbearably, man. You know, you're going to be made miserable with the sicknesses that the Lord is going to give you, man, because they're going to be of long continuance. All right. Like that guy said, they were trying to fight off this cough for months and they couldn't get it off. You see, that's of long continuance. Okay. And here it is that they end up in the hospital and they still can't figure out what the hell is wrong with them. All right, because that's most likely because you walk around doing some wicked ass shit. Okay, it says, moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. You see? So even plagues that were not written in this book, all right, and this is why you always get new strains of variants. You know, you get different types of diseases, you know, newly created, you know, because at the end of the day, a lot of these diseases are created by the government, all right, to, you know, depop a lot of our people, okay? But even then, you know, there's always new variants coming up, all right? And that's all of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai at the end of the day, all right? Because the prophets of old have always spoke about these things, man. All right, let's grab that. This is, 1 second. This is Jeremiah 28:8. It says, the prophets that have been before me, all right, and before thee of old, prophesied against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. You see? All right. And again, pestilence going into what? All right. Diseases that the Lord brings upon you, man. All right. Let's just go into that word pestilence just to see if we find something in there. All right. Which I know that means diseases. All right. It says pestilence, plague, murrain, cattle disease, cattle plague. Okay. So again, it's just diseases, period. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, that's all we're going into. All right. So, you know, this is why we have to stay prayed up in these last days, man, because remember, we're living in perilous times, dangerous times. All right. And anything is possible with these devils. Okay. They're trying to find ways to take Jake out the way. All right. Remember, 2/3 of our people must be put to death in the land. All right. For not hearkening on to the word of the Lord. And it ain't just going to come by the way of Jacob's trouble. All right. That's going to be the main way they go. All right. But remember, the Lord got 1,000 ways to put you down. You know, choose one of them if you want to be wicked. Okay. And this is one of them. All right. Through medical warfare. Okay. So, hey, that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to give a quick update, you know. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, call the Lord and La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom, keep fighting the good fight of faith. You're doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom.